From demonstrations turning deadly in Charlottesville to right here in North Carolina, activists ripping down a Confederate monument. In the New South, old wounds haven't healed.
Ed, what do you think of when you walk by those monuments? What thoughts go through your mind?
Well, I'm a retired Army chaplain, and I think about the soldiers. They do not, in my opinion, honor white supremacy. They're monuments to the soldiers.
I think they're symbols of oppression and white supremacy, and that is part of my family history, and that I have ancestors who fought for the Confederacy, which was fighting to keep people enslaved. But I'm not proud of that.
We talked to both sides in North Carolina this morning, where there's another flashpoint. The state's historical commission now deciding if 3 Confederate monuments on the Capitol grounds should be removed. UNC history professor William Sturkey says they were put up during the racist Jim Crow era.
They placed them in places of prominence all over the South in order to celebrate the present that they had created, but then also to celebrate the future that they had created, which was a modern white supremacist society in the American South.
At a public meeting, most spoke in favor of keeping the monuments where they are.
Those monuments mean everything to me.
A North Carolina law severely restricts moving monuments, saying they can only be relocated to places of similar prominence. According to a 2017 poll, 59% of North Carolinians believe the monuments should remain where they are. 29% want them taken down.
To me, moving the monuments is simply a correction of the telling of history and creating a Capitol grounds that are more welcoming.
Are you sympathetic to those who are deeply offended, who see the symbolism in a different way than you do?
When I hear people say that, I ask them, let's go sit down over a cup of coffee and let's discuss this. I love to understand someone else's history. I want them to understand mine.
So here we are in 2018 in the New South. Can we ever move past this emotional controversy?
I think we can. I hope we can. I believe the monuments will come down eventually.
And will we ever get past this?
I think we are beginning to get past it, and we are a long way past it.
There have to be people who have a clear vision, like John Lewis and Martin Luther King Jr., to have a vision that, yes, we can live in a society where race isn't so divisive. And of course, one of the ways that we reconcile with that truth is, I think, to remove monuments erected by white supremacists in order to invest more fully in our children's future so that they're not having the same discussions that here we are 150 years later still having.
The commission is expected to meet again this month before it makes its recommendation on the monuments and their future. Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.